And by the way, all of these things are going to become more and more liberal as the Supreme Court of the United States in Minnesota v. White said, look, if you're going to elect judges, you cannot then say they can't say who their party is. You cannot say that they can't announce their opinions. You can't say that they can't fundraise like any other politician. These are First Amendment rights, and they are protected in judicial races just like anywhere else. So that, again, provides some very unique and interesting issues that we have to deal with. Now, we also know, and we're going to show you a slide, that Ohio has been right in the middle of all of this. I'm going to get to that next point in a second. Ohio's been right in the middle of all of this on fundraising. You all recall Adam Liptak of the New York Times doing a very direct article about our Ohio Supreme Court races, how much money was raised, and tying it to results. We'll show you that very briefly, but Judge McMonigle, I think you have some statistics from that.
From the article?
Yeah.
Well, there are a couple of statistics so that you understand. Just Supreme Court races across the country over the last 10 years, over $200 million has been spent. Okay, and that's verifiable. Some of the response to money, as is outlined in the Liptak article, really relate to what happened when contributors made significant contributions to the candidates for the Ohio Supreme Court. Basically, what happened was that generally the judges found in favor of their contributors had, if they had a case in front of them, a mere 70% of the time. One justice, 91% of the time, found in favor of the contributors. So,
you know, we recognize those four things as truisms. One last truism, and then we'll get to kind of the heart of what we want to talk about. The next one is that Ohio is schizophrenic when it comes to how it elects judges.
Let me interrupt real quick. The elections are schizophrenic. The judges mostly are not.
Spoken by spoken by a true judge. Here's another thing you need to know about how we elect judges. We have partisan primaries and we have nonpartisan general elections. So in other words, in the primaries you can know that somebody is affiliated with a party, and yet in the general election you're not told that somebody is affiliated with a party. So it was part of that nonpartisan movement back around 1912 when everybody went nonpartisan, take the parties out of this. But the fact of the matter is the Supreme Court and the recent Sixth Circuit Court opinion about this leads both of Judge McMonigle and I to believe that, you know, that saying you can't say who your party is probably unconstitutional. But in Ohio, we do it in a bizarre way. We have partisan primaries. We're the only state that does this. As a consequence, now think about this, when some of the most important races are happening in the primaries, voters are least engaged. It's the lowest turnout you get in primaries. And in fact, that's where some of these races are absolutely decided, especially in this county. The winner of the primary many times comes out of that without any opposition. And so the winner of that primary, when voters are least engaged, is going to be your judge. So it leads to this schizophrenic result in Ohio and in this county in particular.
In addition, so that I can get, so you don't think we're just quoting the New York Times and we've completely eliminated the Cleveland Plain Dealer, and some of the reporters here will certainly point that out to us if I don't make the following statement. Actually, on Sunday, September 19th, the Plain Dealer editorial board actually talked about this problem. They quote Justice Maureen O'Connor, who has made the suggestion that Ohio would still nominate judges in primary elections, but the primary ballot would not identify candidates' party affiliations. I just ruined the digestion of Rob Frost and Stu Garson, but that was their editorial. And their position was that nonpartisan judicial primary ballots would, by themselves, be hardly foolproof. That would call upon voters to do better homework, and their willingness to do so is hardly certain.
Right. Okay, so those are the 5 things that we start with as kind of basic premises. We were going to do a little talk about what judges do, but we don't have enough time for that right now. I'm going to scroll through these things and get to the kind of the heart of what we want to talk about. Central to a judge's mission is impartiality. And if I could summarize what we want to say about this, is this. Number 1, judges are different. Number 2, no one can possibly know all the judicial officers that they vote for in this county. The numbers will stun you. And number 3, voters need help. So let me just start off with judges are different. Doris Kearns Goodwin wrote a book about FDR entitled No Ordinary Times. The same can be said of judges. They are no ordinary politicians. They are a different political animal. Unlike politicians who run for governor or the legislature or county executive, judges are not supposed to tell you in advance what they're going to do. The core of being a judge is being impartial. They are not supposed to prejudge cases. They are not supposed to announce how they intend to vote in a case before elected. And they are not supposed to bring to office campaign commitments defined in a certain way in specific cases. So they are very different from the ordinary politicians. And this impartiality goes to the absolute core of what it means to be a judge. They're supposed to be independent, not subject to the undue influence of people who appear before them. So by definition, they are a different political animal. And of course, Justice O'Connor in Minnesota v. White said, we of course want our judges to be impartial in the sense of being free from any personal stake in the outcome of cases to which they are assigned. So one Supreme Court justice out in California called it the crocodile in the bathtub, that it's just obvious that judges who make political decisions cannot avoid thinking of political things. It's the crocodile in the bathtub. So there's this inherent conflict between impartiality and the election of judges. And as a result, we have this system set up, and here's the quote for you, the crocodile in the bathtub from a California Supreme Court justice. As a result, we've got this problem. Contested elections means that you have to do campaigning, you have to say what you're going to think or what you're going to do, fundraising, party endorsements, having an electable name. Judge McMonigle?
Objection.
And at the end of the day, what we have and what you need to recognize is there's just this inherent conflict between what we're asking them to do as public officials, be impartial, but go out and get elected. It is a problem, and we're going to talk about how the problem is pretty severe in this particular county. This is the New York Times article in 2006 that we're showing the audience here. But this is why the recent indictments of the 2 sitting common pleas judges strikes at the heart of what it means to be a judge, because the core allegations, and we emphasize they are allegations, are that the judges were not acting impartially, that they were favoring somebody, that they were having side meetings, that they were agreeing to do stuff with people on the side. So in that sense, it really does strike at the heart. Why is it so severe? Why is this problem so severe here? We got to show you these real quick because I think we stop at 1. In this county, go ahead, Tim.
We have 12 Court of Appeals judges, 34 Common Pleas Court General Division judges, 31 Municipal Court judges, 6 Juvenile Court judges, 5 Domestic Relations judges, and 2 Probate judges.
And a partridge in a pear tree. So that's 90 elections, 90 judicial elections. And then you add to that, these overwhelming numbers, 7 Ohio Supreme Court justices, and you've got in this county people voting for 97 judicial offices. Now, how can anyone possibly know who they're voting for under those circumstances? So do you know who you're voting for when you go into the election booth? The answer is you're probably like this guy, very confused. And as a result, you also have the name game here. For example,